Mark Twain popularized that phrase over a century ago, and it's just as true today, especially in 2025 when a single number about AI, that 95% of AI projects fail. It went viral across every publication, every conference deck, and every LinkedIn feed. MIT studied this at Harvard level credibility, and everyone believed it. In the most viral AI study of 2025, this one from MIT got the maximum coverage. Forbes, Harvard Business Review, the Wall Street Journal, everyone picked it up. But here's the big problem. A very few people, including the people who wrote these articles, if they ever validated the data or the definitions in that study. And when I went through the actual report line by line, the numbers, they did not add up. Either you watch this video till the end or you read the report by yourself, research, dig deeper. I'm sure we will reach the same conclusion, that these studies are wrong and misleading at best and dangerous at worst. And this is not the first time research has been used to shape the public opinion. Decades ago, if you remember, the sugar industry literally funded by Harvard scientists to publish studies that downplayed the risk of sugar and blamed fat instead. That single move reshaped nutritional advice for next 50 years, all from one cleverly funded study. Now, to be clear, I am not saying that MIT did anything unethical. The issue here isn't corruption, it's carelessness, a lazy clickbait attempt to justify the researcher's own bias. And it worked because the media ran with it. The first problem is the data itself. This MIT study did not analyze the company performance data, and it did not analyze full-scale deployments as well. They just interviewed 52 organizations and surveyed 153 senior leaders. That's it. And most of them at conferences between January and June 2025. That's not a large-scale economic study. That's a poll at an event. And yet, their conclusion that 95% of organizations get zero return from AI was treated like a global truth. Even inside the report, the authors admit that their numbers are directionally accurate based on interviews rather than official company reporting. And do you know what this means in research language? It simply means do not quote this data as a fact. But guess what? That's exactly what we did. And the second problem is how this data was presented. In the MIT report, success wasn't defined as completing a project or improving efficiency or even saving time. Success meant deploying a custom AI tool into production and showing measurable P&L impact within 6 months. 6 months. That's not realistic for any enterprise AI implementation. Even the best performing teams, they take 12 to 18 months to see any significant business impact. And if you define the success so narrow that anything that you do around it will become a failure automatically. And that's exactly how they got the 95% number. Because it's not the projects that failed, it's that the criteria was designed so only a few could ever succeed. And this is where the story started snowballing, because MIT's report was technically labeled as the initial findings. It was never peer reviewed, but the phrase 95% failure rate was irresistible to journalists and LinkedIn pundits. And do you know, in the meantime, Wharton had just published a much larger data-backed study showing that nearly 3/4, about 75% of companies already see positive ROI. And 4 in 5 expect positive returns within 2 to 3 years. Should we put both studies side by side? Let's see. So both published in 2025, both from world-class institutions, but the way each study was built tells us two different stories. The MIT report interviewed 52 organizations, mostly enterprise leaders at industry conferences. The Wharton-GBK study surveyed more than 500 senior execs across 12 industries. MIT defined success as achieving measurable P&L impact within 6 months, a definition so tight that almost every project counted as a failure. Wharton, by contrast, looked at outcomes over a 2 to 3 year horizon and found that nearly 3/4 already report positive ROI, with 4 in 5 expecting continued gains. MIT concluded 95% of organizations getting zero return, and Wharton found that about 75% seeing positive ROI today. And this Wharton study was everything that MIT wasn't. Broad sample, quantitative data, and clear methodology. It clearly showed that AI adoption is rising. The ROI is real, the barriers are predictable, they are not fatal, but it was also boring. It didn't have a shocking failure rate. No 95%, no 0%, no sudden failures, no panic headline. 50 to 70% success is just hardly more than a coin flip. And to be honest, what Wharton said, that most companies are still learning and progress, it takes time. For journalists and even influencers, that's not an interesting story. They need some spice in life. So it barely made it past the press relief. You have to go and search the internet to find this study. No one talks about it unless people who actually care, who actually read, who actually dig deeper into everything. They do not believe in all the claims out there. But that boring report, the one with the real data, it tells us something critical about AI today. The technology isn't failing, the narrative is. Let's move on to the dangerous part. Why this whole thing is very dangerous. When C-suite executives, they read headlines like 95% of AI projects fail, most of them, they don't have time to dig in. They don't have time to dig into the fine print. They rely on summaries, they rely on quick takes, they rely on LinkedIn, whatever their feed is serving to them in that particular week. And the problem is that these headlines, they shape the priorities, they shape the budget allocations for any enterprise. If senior leaders believe that AI is guaranteed failure, they'll freeze investment before the projects even start. And then come the skeptics from within the company, engineering or operations teams that were never comfortable with AI to begin with. And this headline, it becomes their proof. It reinforces hesitation, it slows down experimentation, and it kills innovation from inside. And meanwhile, the people who genuinely want to explore AI, they suddenly look defensive for wanting to move too fast. And any adoption, it doesn't fail because of technology, it fails because of perception. It fails when misleading stats and information is presented to you in a very lucrative, supporting way. Now let's talk about the responsibilities of these media houses, the publications who pushed MIT study over Wharton study. And to be really honest, they have a huge responsibility in how they frame any research. But the current system rewards speed and controversy over clarity. Reporters don't have time to get into the 25-page methodology, get deep into the report. No, they need headlines which drive clicks. And editors want virality because platforms, they reward outrage. And somewhere between the research paper and the newsroom, these nuances, they just die. And I'm not saying these journalists are lying. It's this attention economy which incentivizes exaggeration. And because of this, these researches, these studies which were never supposed to be the global truth, they become universal statistics. Execs quote them in meetings, investors reference them in deck, and the internet echoes them endlessly. And I'm not saying that researchers, they are evil people, or the media, it always lies. What I'm saying is, the lesson here is that any data at all, without any context, can say anything that you want it to. So before believing any headline, be it AI, marketing, medicine, you need to ask 3 questions. Who counted? What did they count? And over what time frame? And if you apply these 3 questions to this so-called MIT 95% AI failure study, you'll see that it's not a global survey at all. It's just 52 organizations measured over 6 months. It's not global. And you get a very different pictures when you look into the Wharton's broader data-driven report with proper research and methodology. And well, the truth is actually boring. AI adoption is rising gradually, and progress, it will happen quietly, but it will take some time. We started with Mark Twain, that there are 3 types of lies. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. Let's add another one to it. Headlines. Because the numbers can mislead, yes, for sure. But these headlines, they amplify these lies. And next time when you see a big claim within a statistics or a report or a research, just take a pause. Think about it. Think about the source. Where's this data coming from? Who exactly is collecting this data? How exactly is this data being collected? All these questions you need to ask. And also, sometimes look at the fine print at the bottom of any study. Because we are living in a world where algorithms are deciding things on our behalf. They are deciding what we should believe. So Critical thinking is the last manual skill that we have left. Use it. My name is Sudhan Shadon, and this was my deep dive into the myth of MIT's 95% AI failure rate. If you found this video useful, share it, not because it's viral, but because it's the truth. For similar stories from marketing and AI world, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in our next video. Cheers.